We'd been married for 12 years when Sarah announced she wanted a divorce. I wasn't entirely surprised. We'd been distant for the past 2 years, ever since she'd left her tech job to pursue entrepreneurship, as she put it. She'd spent most of that time working from a home office, doors closed, taking calls at odd hours. "I need space to find myself," she'd said that February morning. "This marriage isn't working anymore." I'd nodded, feeling more relief than sadness if I'm honest. We'd grown into different people. I worked as a high school history teacher, stable, predictable, satisfied with my $68,000 salary and pension plan. Sarah had always been more ambitious, more interested in wealth and status. The gap between us had widened over the years. "Let's keep this amicable," I suggested. "We can split things fairly." "Absolutely," she'd agreed, smiling warmly. "No need for drama." That was in February. By April, I was sitting across from her attorney, Marcus Chen, in a beige mediation conference room that smelled like stale coffee and printer toner. Sarah sat beside him, dressed in a worn cardigan and jeans, quite different from her usual polished appearance. Marcus slid a folder across the table. "We've prepared a straightforward settlement proposal," he said smoothly. "Given the circumstances, we believe this is more than fair." I opened the folder. The proposal was simple. I would keep our house in suburban Portland, worth about $425,000 with $190,000 remaining on the mortgage. I would waive any claim to alimony. Sarah would keep her personal belongings and her failed business assets. "This seems generous on your end," I said carefully. Sarah leaned forward, and I noticed the calculated exhaustion in her expression. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. "I'm being realistic, David," she said softly. "My startup never took off. I've got maybe $30,000 in various accounts, and honestly, most of that is credit card debt from trying to keep the business going." Marcus nodded sympathetically. "My client has been essentially unemployed for 2 years, living off savings that have now been depleted. The tech industry downturn hit her particularly hard. She's currently applying for retail positions just to make rent." "Retail?" I asked. "Target, actually," Sarah said, looking down. "I have an interview next week. It's humbling, but I need to start somewhere." She slid her own papers across the table. Bank statements showing a checking account with $8,347, a savings account with $12,650, and credit card statements totaling $19,400 in debt. Her tax return from the previous year showed $0 in income. "Take the house and go," she laughed, but it sounded hollow. "I'm unemployed with $30,000 in debt. This divorce is costing me what little I have left. Let's just end this today so we can both move forward." Marcus jumped in. "Frankly, Mr. Morrison, you're getting an excellent deal here. The house has significant equity. My client is asking for nothing. No alimony, no asset division, just her personal items and her car. Sign today, and we can have this finalized within 60 days. Drag this out, and legal fees will eat up what little either of you has." I looked at the papers, pretending to read carefully. My hands trembled slightly, not from nerves, but from the effort of keeping my expression neutral. "This ends everything?" I asked. "Clean break." "Completely clean," Marcus confirmed. "You walk away with the house, your retirement accounts, everything. Sarah walks away with essentially nothing but a fresh start." Sarah reached across the table, her hand on the folder. "Please, David. I know I'm the one who wanted this divorce, and I'm not asking for anything I don't deserve. I just want this to be over. I need to rebuild my life from scratch." There was something almost convincing about her performance. The tired eyes, the modest clothing, the genuine-seeming desperation. If I hadn't known better, I might have believed her. "I need time to think," I said, closing the folder. Marcus's jaw tightened slightly. "Mr. Morrison, This offer won't stay on the table indefinitely. My client is being extraordinarily generous given that she brought significant assets into this marriage and has essentially subsidized your lifestyle. I said I need time to think, I repeated, standing up. I'll have an answer by the end of the week. Sarah's expression flickered, just for a moment, with something that looked like irritation before the exhausted mask returned. Of course, she said softly. Take your time. I gathered my copies of the documents and left the conference room, feeling Marcus's frustrated stare on my back. What neither of them knew was that I'd already hired someone. 3 months earlier, actually, right after Sarah had first mentioned divorce. It had started with a suspicion, nothing concrete, just a nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Sarah's entrepreneurship had always been vague. When friends asked what her startup did, she'd give answers like blockchain solutions or decentralized finance consulting that sounded impressive but meant nothing specific. She'd spend 12-hour days in her home office but never showed me a business plan, never mentioned clients or investors, never seemed stressed about the typical startup struggles. And despite supposedly having no income, she never seemed worried about money. So in January, a month before she'd asked for divorce, I'd made a decision. I'd called a firm called Pacific Financial Investigations, a company that specialized in asset discovery and forensic analysis. I think my wife might be hiding money, I'd told Daniel Reeves, the lead investigator, during our first phone call. She claims her business failed, but something doesn't add up. Tell me what you've observed, Daniel had said. I'd listed everything. The closed-door calls at odd hours. The expensive laptop she'd bought for work, but kept password protected. The way she'd insisted on separate bank accounts to keep business and personal separate. The fact that she'd been pushing me toward divorce but offering to leave me everything. That last part is particularly interesting, Daniel had noted. When someone gives up too easily in a divorce, especially when they're the higher earner historically, it often means they're hiding something significant and want to avoid discovery. Can you find it? If it exists, we'll find it, he'd promised. The retainer was $15,000. Money I'd quietly borrowed from my brother. It felt like a massive gamble, but Daniel had been confident. In 30% of cases where a spouse suddenly claims poverty during divorce, we find hidden assets. The average recovery is over $2 million. Those odds seemed worth the risk. Daniel started with the basics: tax returns, bank statements, credit reports. Sarah had provided years of joint tax returns showing her business losses, all legitimate-looking deductions for a failed startup. This is good paperwork, Daniel admitted during our first meeting at a coffee shop in March. Whoever prepared this knew what they were doing. But there are inconsistencies. He'd spread out documents on the table between us. Look at her business expenses. She's deducting $8,000 annually for technology and software. For a failed consulting business, that's high. What software costs that much unless you're actively trading or mining something? Mining? I'd asked. Cryptocurrency mining. It requires expensive hardware and software. That's when the investigation shifted focus. Daniel brought in a digital forensics specialist named Jennifer Park, who specialized in cryptocurrency tracking. If your wife is involved in crypto, there will be digital traces, Jennifer had explained. Exchanges require identity verification. Wallets leave blockchain records. Transactions are permanent and public. They'd started by subpoenaing Sarah's email accounts through a preliminary discovery motion, something my divorce attorney had filed citing concerns about asset disclosure. Sarah's attorney had fought it, which itself was suspicious, but the judge had ordered limited email production. That's where Jennifer found the first thread. Buried in Sarah's emails from 18 months ago was correspondence with Coinbase, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges. The emails were about account verification and increasing trading limits. She has a Coinbase account, Jennifer confirmed. Or had one. Let's find out what else exists. Using Sarah's email address and phone number, Jennifer searched public blockchain explorers and exchange leak databases, collections of data from previous exchange hacks that security researchers maintain. She found Sarah's information connected to 5 different cryptocurrency exchanges: Coinbase, Kraken, Binance US, Gemini, and FTX, before its collapse. "This isn't amateur hour," Jennifer said. "She's spreading assets across multiple platforms. That's sophisticated asset protection strategy." Through a combination of public blockchain analysis and exchange subpoenas, Daniel had connections with attorneys who could push these through quickly. They'd started piecing together Sarah's cryptocurrency portfolio. The first wallet they identified held 12.4 Bitcoin. At current prices, that was worth approximately $518,000. "But look at the transaction history," Jennifer showed me on her laptop, pointing at a blockchain explorer showing a long list of transactions. "She's been accumulating this since 2019. She bought most of it when Bitcoin was between $8,000 and $15,000. She's sitting on massive gains." They found a second wallet with 45 Ethereum tokens, another $94,000. Then a third wallet with various altcoins: Cardano, Solana, Polygon, another $180,000. But the biggest discovery came when Jennifer traced transaction patterns to a cold storage wallet, a hardware device kept offline for security. "This is where the real money is," Jennifer explained, showing me the blockchain records. "This wallet received consistent deposits from 2020 through 2023. The pattern suggests mining income, regular payments from mining pools. The total holdings here are approximately 68 Bitcoin." I'd done the math in my head. 68 Bitcoin at roughly $42,000 each was $2.856 million. "She's been mining cryptocurrency?" I'd asked, stunned. "For at least 4 years, Jennifer confirmed. "She probably has a mining rig set up somewhere, possibly in that home office she keeps locked. Mining operations use significant electricity and generate heat and noise, which is why she'd want privacy." Daniel had leaned back in his chair, smiling. "This is why she's offering you the house and asking for nothing. She thinks you don't know about any of this. In her mind, she's giving up $235,000 in home equity to protect $2.8 million in cryptocurrency. That's a trade she's happy to make. Can we prove all of this in court?" I'd asked. "Absolutely," Jennifer said. "Blockchain records are public and permanent. I can provide expert testimony explaining exactly how we traced these wallets to her, showing the transaction histories, and documenting the current values. I can also testify about the mining income pattern and the sophistication of her asset concealment strategy." Over the following weeks, they'd compiled everything into a comprehensive report. Authenticated blockchain records showing wallet addresses and holdings. Exchange account confirmations linking the wallets to Sarah's verified identity. Email evidence showing her cryptocurrency activity and trading. Expert analysis of mining income patterns. Current market valuations of all holdings. Transaction histories showing she'd been accumulating crypto throughout our marriage. Electricity bill analysis showing suspicious spikes consistent with mining operations. The total documented cryptocurrency portfolio, $2,847,000. "She'll claim these are separate property, that she earned them after you were separated," Daniel warned. "Be prepared for that argument." "We separated in February this year," I said. "These emails and transactions go back to 2019. We were definitely married then." "Exactly," Daniel smiled. "This is marital property. Oregon is an equitable distribution state, which means fair division of marital assets. Given that she deliberately concealed these assets and lied under oath about her finances, the judge will likely award you significantly more than 50%. By the time I sat in that mediation room listening to Sarah claim poverty, I had a 4-inch binder full of irrefutable evidence sitting in my divorce attorney's office. 2 weeks after the mediation, We were in Judge Patricia Holbrook's courtroom for a preliminary hearing on asset disclosure. Sarah sat at the defendant's table with Marcus, still playing her part. Modest clothing, minimal jewelry, an expression of weary resignation. She thought this would be a quick hearing, rubber stamping her financial disclosure. My attorney, Rebecca Walsh, stood up. Your Honor, we have significant concerns about the respondent's financial disclosures. We believe there are substantial undisclosed assets, and we've brought expert witnesses to present our findings. Marcus shot to his feet. Your Honor, this is a fishing expedition. My client has provided complete and accurate financial disclosures. She's essentially indigent. I'll hear the evidence, Judge Holbrook said curtly. She was in her early 60s, a no-nonsense former prosecutor known for her intolerance of dishonesty. Rebecca called Jennifer Park to the stand. Jennifer was professional and precise, walking the judge through her investigation like a professor giving a lecture. She explained blockchain technology in simple terms, described how cryptocurrency wallets work, and then began presenting the evidence. I traced 5 cryptocurrency exchange accounts to the respondent, Jennifer testified, pulling up displays on the courtroom screen. Coinbase, Kraken, Binance.us, Gemini, and FTX. Each account was verified using her legal name, email address, and social security number. On the screen appeared screenshots of account verifications, emails from Sarah to the exchanges, and official exchange responses, all authenticated with digital signatures and timestamps. Marcus objected repeatedly, but Judge Holbrook overruled him each time. I want to hear this, she said. Jennifer continued, through blockchain analysis, I identified 3 primary wallet addresses controlled by the respondent. The first contains 12.4 Bitcoin, currently valued at $520,000. The second contains 45 Ethereum tokens, valued at $94,000. The third contains various alternative cryptocurrencies valued at approximately $180,000. She pulled up the actual blockchain records on screen, public ledgers showing every transaction, every deposit, every current balance. But the most significant finding, Jennifer said, is this cold storage wallet. A new blockchain address appeared on screen, along with a transaction history showing hundreds of incoming deposits over 4 years. This wallet contains 68 Bitcoin, currently valued at $2.856 million. The transaction pattern is consistent with cryptocurrency mining income, regular payments from mining pools dating back to 2019. I watched Sarah's face. Her calm mask was cracking. Her hands gripped the table edge, knuckles white. How can you prove my client controlled this wallet? Marcus challenged. Jennifer smiled. I traced the transaction flow. Funds from this cold storage wallet were periodically transferred to the exchange accounts we've already confirmed belong to your client. Additionally, IP address logs from mining pool services show connections from the respondent's home address. The mining operation was conducted from the marital residence. She pulled up more evidence. Electricity bills showing usage spikes consistent with mining operations, emails discussing mining hardware purchases, and even a photo from Sarah's social media showing her home office with what appeared to be mining equipment visible in the background. The respondent has been operating a cryptocurrency mining business from 2019 through 2023, generating approximately $2.8 million in digital assets, all while married to the petitioner. These are marital assets that were never disclosed. Judge Holbrook turned to Sarah. Ms. Morrison, did you disclose any cryptocurrency holdings in your financial declaration? Sarah's attorney whispered urgently to her. She shook her head slightly, then spoke, her voice strained. Your Honor, these are business investments. They're separate from marital assets. Answer the question, Judge Holbrook said coldly. Did you disclose any cryptocurrency holdings in your sworn financial declaration? Yes or no? No, but... Did you testify in your deposition that you had approximately $30,000 in total assets? Yes, but I was referring to liquid cash. Did you or did you not tell this court that you were essentially indigent and unemployed? Sarah's face had gone from pale to blotchy red. Your Honor, cryptocurrency is complicated. I didn't think it qualified as... You didn't think $2.8 million qualified as an asset worth disclosing? Judge Holbrook's voice could have frozen fire. You testified under oath. You signed financial declarations under penalty of perjury. Marcus stood up, his voice tense. Your Honor, if we could request a brief recess to consult with our client. Denied. Sit down, Mr. Chen. Judge Holbrook looked at the blockchain evidence still displayed on the screen, then at Sarah, then at me. I'm ordering an immediate freeze on all cryptocurrency accounts associated with the respondent. I'm referring this matter to the Oregon State Bar for investigation of Mr. Chen's conduct in presenting false financial information to this court. And I'm scheduling an emergency hearing for next week on asset division and sanctions. She banged her gavel. This hearing is adjourned. Sarah sat frozen, staring at the table. Marcus was frantically typing on his laptop, his earlier confidence completely gone. I walked out of the courtroom behind Rebecca, who squeezed my shoulder. That went well, she said quietly. The emergency hearing the following week was brief. Sarah appeared with a new attorney. Marcus had withdrawn from the case, citing irreconcilable differences with client, but likely trying to protect himself from bar sanctions. Her new lawyer, a tired-looking woman named Patricia Gould, immediately tried to negotiate. My client acknowledges that certain assets were not properly disclosed, Patricia began carefully. We'd like to propose a revised settlement. Judge Holbrook cut her off. I've reviewed the evidence from last week's hearing. I've also reviewed the respondent's sworn testimony, her financial declarations, and her deposition statements. This wasn't an oversight. This was deliberate, calculated fraud. She turned to Sarah. Ms. Morrison, you operate a sophisticated cryptocurrency mining operation. You spread your assets across multiple exchanges to avoid detection. You deliberately presented yourself as impoverished to pressure your husband into accepting a settlement that would have given you everything while he received nothing of value. You lied under oath. You committed perjury. Sarah said nothing, just stared at her hands. Judge Holbrook continued, I'm awarding 70% of all marital assets to the petitioner, including 70% of all cryptocurrency holdings. That amounts to approximately $1.99 million in digital assets, plus the marital home and retirement accounts. She paused, letting that sink in. Additionally, I'm imposing sanctions of $45,000 to cover the petitioner's investigation costs and attorney fees. I'm ordering the respondent to transfer the awarded cryptocurrency within 30 days or face contempt charges. Finally, I'm referring this case to the Oregon Department of Justice for potential criminal prosecution for perjury and fraud. The prosecutor's office will decide whether to file charges. Patricia tried to object, but Judge Holbrook silenced her with a look. This divorce is granted. Final orders will be issued within 10 days. 3 weeks later, I received confirmation that 47.6 Bitcoin and corresponding amounts of Ethereum and altcoins have been transferred to a new wallet under my control. The total value, $2.04 million, slightly more than expected due to market appreciation. Sarah moved out of state, to Texas, I heard through mutual friends. She avoided criminal charges after cooperating with the investigation and paying substantial back taxes on her unreported cryptocurrency income. Marcus Chen received a private reprimand from the Oregon State Bar but kept his license. As for me, I'm still teaching history at the same high school. But now I have a very comfortable nest egg and a much better understanding of cryptocurrency than most history teachers. And I learned something valuable. When someone offers you everything in a divorce, they're probably hiding something worth much more.